Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is VIN0635. This is a 2016 1H9, which is Nebula Gray Pearl with LA30 red interior. And it is a salvage title. So before you go any further, salvage rebuilt title. It's for sale at IAAI in Tampa, Florida. And it has a rebuildable Florida title. So that's, for the rest of the world, it's a salvage title. But it can be put back on the road. Florida has what's called, they can issue a certificate of destruction or a junk title, which means it's never to be registered on roads in Florida. There are ways around it, getting it into other states, but the point is, this is a rebuildable title and looks like a pretty easy rebuild too. It has a front hit and it has about 92,000 miles, and it originally ran March 31st, 2026. Here it is, April 1st, April Fool's Day, 2026. And they ran it and then they pulled it. So it didn't, like right before it ran, they pulled it and said it's not currently available. Now it's registered to run April 7th of 2026. So you still have time to go investigate or register to bid if you want this car. Production statistics. Nebula Gray Pearl is a 1-year only color, only 2016 on the GSF. 157 out of the 2,348 cars for the US 49 were Nebula Gray, and only 64 had LA30 red interior. So not a very common color. 2.73% out of all of the US 49 production was this color combo. So it's like an 8 out of 10 for rarity. You're not gonna see a lot of these in this color combination. 2016 specifically, again, still 157, but it's out of 1,418 cars for the year, and still 64 had LA30 red interior. So again, as I said, not a lot of them you're gonna see come up for sale. And this is a pretty nice example otherwise, other than the front end damage. Carfax, Epic VIN, and Auto Check. Carfax shows this as a 3-owner, 1 accident salvage title Florida car, which is this one now, but it's been in a Florida car its whole life. And it looks like the accident was from like January or February of 2026. Epic VIN shows this as a 2-owner, 1 accident car. AutoCheck shows this as a 3-owner, 1 accident salvage title vehicle. I think this is a 3-owner, 1 accident salvage title car. Previous sales. This car first went on sale in January of 2016 for $87,000 in Florida, and it sold in August of 2016, so that's like 7 months for sale, pretty typical of what you saw when these cars were new. August of 2019, $54,000 with 16,000 miles still in Florida, L certified, and it sold in about a week. March of 2022, $57,000, so actually $3,000 more than it was 3 years prior. 37,000 miles in Florida at a Toyota dealer, and it sold in about 3 weeks also to a buyer in Florida. And now here it is, April 1st, 2026, with 92,000 miles, and it's at IAAI, wrecked in the front. So now onto the photos. The big thing here with the front impact is that no airbags were deployed. So it was a hard enough hit to damage the grille, which isn't very difficult to do, but no airbags deployed. The carbon fiber trim is delaminating on the inside because of course it is. And it really just, overall, the hit on the front doesn't look too terrible. You can look at the radiator cross member, the support there, which is removable. It's not bent or damaged or otherwise. So to me, it looks highly cosmetic, which that is expensive on these cars. Headlight, grille, hood, maybe the oil coolers or something like that. But it's really just the parts prices. That's why they likely total this car, and because it has almost 100,000 miles on it. If you can find a used grille, which is easier said than done, but you can buy the entire assembly with discounts and everything for around $7,000. And the headlight around $3,500, $3,700. So that's where the bulk of your money is going to go. The transmission cooler is about, I think the last I checked, it's between $500 and $700. And any other parts plus cosmetic damage, paint, bumper, etc. So that's likely why it's totaled, and it shouldn't be too difficult for even, John Q. Public to rebuild this car. And that's probably good, but it also means that it's probably gonna bring quite a bit of money at an auction like this, which also has high fees on top of the final hammer price. So that brings me to the price. I think that fixed, this car is likely in like the $28,000 to $30,000 range. Generally, the market has settled on rebuilt title GSFs, especially 16s, between $28,000 and $32,000 miles, and that's usually between 80 and 130,000 miles. So it can be slightly higher beyond that. I just did one, a ultrasonic blue mica one in California that has 26,000 miles, rebuilt title, but it has a plethora of issues to go along with it. So this one, I think that you need to probably get it somewhere around $20,000 for it to make sense. And I think because of the interest in these cars, especially in the last 60 days or so, the demand on these cars has always been high, but the market supply has been very thin. And so that means what does come up for sale brings all the money. I feel like if you wanted to fix this for yourself, you know, kind of value be damned, and you have a perfectly fixed, you know how it was fixed type of car, then you can go higher than that. But I think at 20,000 with fees, you're at like 23,000, and then with parts, you're at about 30,000. So that's basically the retail price of it right there. Now, if you buy it to just fix it and go drive it, as I said, value be damned, then you're probably all right paying a little bit more, because it does look like it's a pretty nice example otherwise. The service history. The first entry of note is February of 2017. They replaced the door check because it was popping and making a noise. Very common on these cars. When you open the driver's door, you'd hear like a pop or a crack or a squeak. And then the squeak is coming from, there's a seal right behind the fender that the door rubs on. And so that's what creates the squeak. The pop is the door check. So if it had one or the other or both, but in this instance, they just replaced the door check. May of 2018, the JLB recall, the parts were ordered. That's the high pressure fuel pumps. I guess there was a demand for the parts right when the recall was issued, so there was a little bit of a delay in getting them. They noted that the door was still making noise and new front brakes already at 11,000 miles. That would tell me that this car's probably had a lot of short stop and go type of trips. Generally, they last 20 to 30,000 miles on the front, depending on the use. And so at 11,000, it said they're worn down to the sensors. So maybe it's, unless it was tracked or something, but I don't think that's what happened here. July of 2018, 2 months later, they did the JLB recall, high pressure fuel pumps. November of 2019, the KLG was done. That is the GPS location reporting incorrectly. So there's an update for that, and it was done. And they also replaced 5 of the servo motors for the HVAC and did the reprogramming or the programming, so it has the servo sweep and everything already done. Pretty common to see these cars, they either are plagued with HVAC servo issues early on, or they had no problems. And so this one's one of those that, you know, in 2019, it had several of them replaced. January of 2021, at 26,000 miles, an O2 sensor was replaced for the check engine light being on. Bank 2 sensor 2, I think is what it was, which is the secondary ones. That's the ones right underneath the car. And so it was causing an issue. Generally what I've seen from that throwing a light is you run over something or it caught something, the wire is just slightly hanging down and it probably caught the wire. Just guessing that's probably what the case was, but they do go bad too, but you know, not at 26,000 miles. September of 2022. And so this is when they note that it has an aftermarket exhaust, and it sounds like headers as well. And they replaced, it was causing, there was a leak in the gasket. And so they replaced the gaskets, hoping that would fix it. It didn't. 6 months later or so, April of 2023, the check engine light was on again, and they said it was for the leaking exhaust gaskets, and they recommended removing the system and putting everything back to stock. That's not what they did. Again, in 2023, October of 2023, they replaced all of the exhaust gaskets once again. So they're still having issues with this aftermarket exhaust. I don't know what exhaust system is on it, but obviously it was something, it could have been, you know, I don't know for a fact that this is the case, but like Megan, they make, or I think it's Megan, like the Chinese headers. There is a Chinese header for these cars, and they're terrible. They leak, they crack, all kinds of problems, and that could be what's on this car. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying look closely. February of 2024, at 61,000 miles, the check engine light is on again, and they noted that they had the exhaust welded to the manifolds. So I don't know if they actually had an aftermarket mid-pipe that was welded to factory exhaust manifolds or to aftermarket headers, but the point is it was welded, and you definitely don't want to do that. But the tech noted that there were still issues that remained. They reset the check engine light, but said it's going to come back. February of 2025, 77,000 miles, check engine lights on again, and welded exhaust found, and they recommended replacing all of it, and they did not do that. So likely this car still has whatever exhaust issue is going on, probably has leaking exhaust, probably has a check engine light, amongst the other damage. So that is something you'd have to look at. That's why, even though this is a salvage title car, which is probably going to get rebuilt, you want to know things like this, and you'll find it digging through the service history. August of 2025, 87,000 miles. The check engine light is on again because of course it is. And the traction control light as well, and they noted again that it needs new exhaust manifolds, and it was not done. August of 2025 again at 87,000 miles, new rear brakes. So fairly recent new brakes on the rear. December of 2025 at 92,000 miles, they noted that the front tires were bald on the inside edge. What do we know about that? Front lower control arm bushings. So this car probably needs front lower control arm bushings replaced. Spark plugs were finally replaced. The 60,000 mile service was not done on this car. So 30,000 miles late, the spark plugs were done at 92,000 miles, and they still noted it needs the manifolds replaced at this service. So that's the big thing. There's something going on with the exhaust. What's not done? The low pressure fuel pump has not been reprogrammed on this car, so that's the humming or buzzing you hear in the back seat. Carbon fiber trim obviously is delaminating. I don't see anything about the servicing for the TVD, the torque vectoring differential. The transmission or the coolant is usually due by Lexus at 100,000 miles. And usually around that time, you're going to replace the drive belt as well. Not very expensive or hard to do, but that is something that needs to be done. And of course, the valley plate. The valley plate, I would not be surprised if it's leaking on this car. There's no evidence of it being done already. And just the exhaust concerns, that's it. So that brings me to would I buy this car now knowing what I know with the service history. I think I still would, but the price would have to be right. And for me, that price would be somewhere, as I said, around $20,000. And if you can't get it there, then you're probably overpaying, but it is okay to overpay if you're gonna keep it for personal. If you're trying to buy this to flip it and make money on it, there's not gonna be a lot of room, especially with all the interest that you're gonna have with this car. And so it's not a northern state car. It is a tropical climate. It's a Florida car, which is not, gentle on underside components. You may have like surface rust and things like that, but I don't think the underneath of it's gonna be too terrible. I think that it has great bones. It's well serviced, other than the issues with the exhaust, aftermarket exhaust, and or headers that are on it. So that would be something to address once you get the rest of the car fixed as well. So that's what I've got for you guys. VIN 0635, probably worth checking out, but it's not a complete basket case, but it does have some issues. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon.